What are we all missing right now, because it gets overshadowed by coronavirus news? It's not being overlooked, but Magic Johnson overcame HIV, and Ozzy Osbourne has definitely survived eating bats. These are the people we need answers from. I took a wipeless shit today. The flu has infected 3 times the amount of people, killed 56,000. Saudi-Russian oil price war is threatening the global economy. U.S. troops and a British troop were killed in an Iranian proxy attack, which resulted in U.S. airstrikes. Gunmen have killed 43 people in Burkina Faso. Biden and Bernie are the only Democrats currently qualified to debate on stage. The Hong Kong protests. Hong Kong protests. The fires in Australia ended. 3,287 automobile fatalities a day, more than even the worst coronavirus projections. 2 American and 1 British soldiers were killed in Iraq. Putin becoming leader for life. Toilet paper is a very valuable thing, almost like gold. GOP Senate crossed aisle to rebuke Betsy DeVos for collecting on student loans that were supposed to be forgiven. They went against Trump's rich buddy. She's still in her position though despite the corruption. East Nashville was wrecked by a tornado. One oil price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Arguably the bigger impact on stock markets. The biggest drop in oil prices since the Gulf War and a similar strategy to what eventually brought down the Soviet Union. Trump spoke with MBS before the decision was made, so it's unlikely they acted without approval, especially with the Saudis rounding up some princes for allegedly plotting a coup. Potential targets: Iran and Venezuela. 2 Greek-Turkish border skirmishes over migrants. 3 Brazil removing all its diplomats from Venezuela where there have been military tensions in past year. The 2nd person in the world has been cured of HIV. As usual, climate crisis reporting. News came out saying the Amazon could disappear in 50 years while the Caribbean coral reef could disappear in 15 years. Kim Jong-un trying to get the attention back by letting off fireworks in his garden again. The fact that if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma due to exposure to asbestos, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Corey Feldman accused Charlie Sheen of rape. Parts of Africa and South Asia are having their crops decimated by a massive locust swarm, and it's estimated to impact the food security for about 20 million people. Dengue fever cases going up and being overlooked because of the less deadly coronavirus. My reaction to most of the comments is mostly so, nothing out of the ordinary. I know it's pretty obvious, but the Hong Kong protests. Also Australia, after over 250 days, is no longer on fire. 34 people have died to the Australian bushfires, and although we were thankfully gifted rain for a few days, the fires refused to die in NSW and Victoria. There's a plague of locusts about to tear through Africa. The Olympics are happening in Tokyo 2020. If coronavirus wraps up quickly enough to make it safe to hold a public event on that scale. Harvey Weinstein rushed to hospital with chest pains. I hope he gets the best care possible and recovers to the fullest of his potential health. He has a lot of years behind bars waiting for him, and he needs to experience every single one of them. Ethiopia is facing mass starvation due to swarms of locusts the size of cities. Everything. Russian parliament passed a reform allowing Putin to stay president until 2036. Trump Jr. is telling Kosovo it should remove its tax on Serbia, otherwise the US should pull its troops from Kosovo. Kosovo is actually debating the tax now because of this. Kosovo is our ally. Serbia is a Russian satellite. The Kosovo base is one of America's largest bases. Not sure why we would want to remove troops or the taxes on Serbia. It's literally just aiding Russia and has zero benefit to us. US is pushing for the negotiations between Serbia and Kosovo to continue. Those negotiations are blocked because Turkey arbitrarily slapped on 100% tariffs on goods coming from Serbia. Also, Serbia is not a Russian satellite, unless you're a time traveler. The DNC changed the debate rules to favor Joe Biden. One Tulsi Gabbard will not be on the debate stage, and she would have gone after Biden hard. 2. The candidates will be seated because Biden starts to fade on the debate stage while standing due to his poor health. 3. Questions will be asked by the crowd and likely planted to avoid Biden and Bernie directly debating in order to protect Biden from scrutiny. The Fed gave banks $1.5 trillion today to try and stabilize the market. It worked for about an hour, and then the market resumed its free fall, so they basically tossed over $1 trillion of taxpayer money into a hole today. For perspective, $1.5 trillion USD is also the combined total of student debt in this country. This needs to be higher up. Yet another Senate bill aimed at destroying end-to-end encryption and stripping away at people's privacy. Because everyone's asking, the bill is called Earn It. If you're interested in understanding the bill and how it affects privacy, I recommend reading this really short post on Medium. It's not the most authoritative source, but it does an extremely good job explaining the surface-level intentions and consequences behind the bill without overtly pointing fingers or being sensationalist. If you don't mind the technical but, in my opinion, sensationalist article, The F covered it recently as well. Johnny Depp is suing The Sun. Johnny Depp is suing The Sun. I thought you meant like literally The Sun. Didn't Epstein's bank account just quietly shuffle away another $50 million? Not as important as a lot of other issues, but the whole Epstein thing has really fallen out of the news cycle. A second person has now been cured of HIV. I heard about this. Absolutely amazing. My birthday. I turned 18 yesterday. Couldn't go ice skating at the mall as I hoped because coronavirus skeptical smiley face. Climate change is still a thing. Some good news. Canada just banned conversion therapy. Mexico had a day without women. March 9th we had a national women's strike where women were encouraged to not go anywhere. Schools, offices, public places did not have more than a couple of women during the day, and it was done to show our disappointment towards gender violence and our anger against the poor actions taken to stop it. It caused more than $1 billion of losers in our country in general. The upcoming worldwide economic recession. That one bill against TikTok on government devices. Don't let coronavirus distract you from the fact that in 1966, Al Bundy scored 4 touchdowns in a single game while playing for the Polk High School Panthers in the '66 City Championship game versus Andrew Johnson High School, including the game-winning touchdown in the final seconds against his old nemesis, Bubba Spare Tire Dixon. Rising tensions between Iran and the U.S. Iran has bigger issues than the US at the moment, mainly the fact that 10% of their parliament is sick with corona. Oh yeah, an asteroid is said to fly by Earth. Maybe we can have multiple apocalypse scenarios at once. Asteroid, virus, climate change, now we just need nuclear. A combo deal. Boko Haram is still stealing girls from their homes and burning entire towns to the ground. A city in Puerto Rico is now entirely underwater, and because the island is so impoverished, hundreds of people just don't have homeowners insurance to move, so they're homeless. Concentration camps for Muslims in China. Brigham Young University in Utah, USA changed the wording in its honor code that every student is required to sign. They removed the part banning any LGBTQ+ relationships. People came out because they felt safe. 2 weeks later they clarified that it was still against the rules to be LGBTQ+, but it was already too late for those brave enough to come out. The Taliban never intended to follow the treaty recently signed with the US. That's news. I'd be more surprised if they intended to follow it. The Houston Astros cheated their way to victory in the 2017 World Series and then kept cheating after that. My state is trying to pass a bill right now that would outlaw abortion in the event Roe v. Wade is overturned. Hopefully that never happens, but it's still concerning. Also, Lori Vallow's children are still missing. No one knows where they are and she hasn't told anyone anything except that they are safe. Sanders is losing Washington state to Biden. Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons are coming out on the 20th. Putin is becoming lifetime ruler of Russia. The droid attack on the Wookiees. Another attack on US base in Iraq from Iran-backed militia. Harvey Weinstein was found guilty and will die in jail. Ghislaine Maxwell is still at large and pretty much nothing has come of Epstein's child sex ring. Everyone's forgotten of Prince Andrew, as well as Bill Clinton flying on Epstein's private plane multiple times and even dumping his Secret Service detail multiple times. 20% of my 401k skull. Congress is attempting to pass a law that will effectively end all end-to-end encryption on communication platforms. Cure for AIDS. I did not hear about the Nazi flag at the Bernie Sanders rally once on NPR, and I listen for hours every day. Sure, they could make time for the vegans at the Biden rally, but a literal swastika at a Jewish candidate for president. PSHHH. Oil price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia. Don't know much about it, but my jaw just about dropped on my way home from a semi-remote vacation and saw that gas was almost down to $1.90 a gallon in our city. Think they had oil going for like $30 a barrel or something.